Well, hey now, welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar. I'm doing one of my periodic installments called What's in My Pile. And basically, I go and look at the records that are all in front of my stereo. There's a large pile of stuff there. Quite a bit of it is something I might have pulled out and played once and thought I'd play again. And it's just kind of sitting there and it's not getting repeat listens. So what I've done is I've kind of pulled out the stuff that I've been listening to or I've been thinking about, and I'll kind of address that. So a lot of new stuff and a few old ones that I pulled back into the repeat play bin, as it were, and been really enjoying, and I want to share that with you a little bit. Well, to start off, I think there are three records or three releases that are completely consuming me these days, and may not come as a surprise because there have been a lot of people in the vinyl community that have been talking about these releases. So one of them is the Neil Young Volume 3 of the archives. I've got 1 and 2 as well. And I was a little trepidatious about whether I should really get 3. It is obscenely expensive, especially up here in Canada. I think it's $630 or something, and then you have to get it shipped to you. They don't throw in free shipping after $630. Unbelievable. But like Volume 2, comes with this book that looks like it's a piece of antiquity, I suppose. Some great pictures of Neil. I'm not going to go into details about this release because everybody who has any interest in this already knows about the period of time. But I will say that you get a box like this and it's going to consume a lot of your time. And unlike Todd over at Lost Mixtapes, who seems to have dove right in deep, good for him, I'm now on, what am I on? Disc 2, which is the third CD, I think. Disc 1 has got an A and a B. I have to say that the Disc 1 and 1A and 1B, holy smokes, live with Crazy Horse, just, great. Like I was going to say, like, do I really need another Cortez the Killer or Down by the River? And it's like, yes, I do. I mean, there are very few artists, the Grateful Dead would be one of them certainly, but that I feel like I need multiple versions of the same thing live. But holy smokes, it's great. Anyways, I'm not going to pass judgment on it yet because I'm just really dipping into it. I'm right at Hitchhiking Judy, which is repetitious. It's basically Hitchhiker and Songs for Judy, which I have both of those. But this is something that I am putting a lot of time into. So that's one of the ones that have come out in the last few weeks that I've really enjoyed. The other one, of course, everyone talking about is Wild God, Nick Cave. Comes with a free, or it comes with, this is the issue that comes with a piece of artwork. It's just a piece of cardboard with Wild God. I have to say it feels there's a little bit too much commoditization of Nick Cave's stuff. But this record, I'm loving it though. I really am. I am somebody who loves his more melancholic stuff more than his really hard driving stuff. Boatman's Call, I love Skeleton Tree, Push the Sky Away. Not everybody likes that. It's a lot of somber stuff, but like John at Digital Gramophone, I'm a sad man. John says that about himself. I'm not saying that about John, not at all. The harmony or the melodies in this just keep going around and around in my head. It's so beautiful, lyrically very uplifting. I just think it's a great record, and I won't say more than that. Again, there are lots of people who've gone into much more depth. And the third one, I don't have the record. I've been streaming it, and that is David Gilmour's Luck and Strange. And I'm a Pink Floyd fan like everyone else, but because everybody talks about Pink Floyd so much, I tend to get tired of that conversation. So I was surprised when I started listening to it. It was like how much I enjoyed hearing his guitar. His guitar works, super familiar, beautiful songs. Production's fantastic. 2 songs that his daughter Romy sings, Romany, I guess. Sorry. Just beautiful vocals. And then, as my friends John and Steve said over at the Sonic Obsession, if you go online, there are some great YouTube videos of the rehearsal. I think it was like 23-minute kind of rehearsal stuff where they do 4 or 5 songs, including 1 or 2 Pink Floyd songs. off of Dark Side of the Moon. It's really, really good, shot in black and white, and it's great. Anyways, this record is wonderful. So I'm streaming it now. And one of the reasons also is that the streaming version, like the Blu-ray version, has 2 or 3 extra songs, including a jam that is David Gilmour with Richard Wright before he passed away. That is really spectacular, and it's not available on vinyl, at least at this. Well, it is, but it's part of a box that's like $250 that has a lot of. I'm not a Blu-ray guy really, so I'm waiting to see whether he might release this at some point in time, just as a 2-record set with those 2 or 3 other tracks. But right now they're on the streaming service, so I'm really enjoying it. So that's the third one that I'm really enjoying. Another one that I got a little while ago, and I think because it's starting to rain and get a little gray, and I was thinking I'm going to definitely do a fall music kind of, music that's great for fall listening. This would certainly be very high up on it. And this is 9 Horses, David Sylvian. This is a double record. Everything that Sylvian does is very artistic, and also a little bit, I don't know how the word is, ephemeral, or it feels very moody and atmospheric, right? White vinyl, kind of like white vinyl, but white vinyl, which is nice. And anyways, this is really nice record. The track that really draws me in is Banality of Evil. It's a beautiful track. And really with Sylvian, I find he's an artist that I actually prefer his solo work to Japan. Call me blasphemous, but it really flows well. It's like creating a soundtrack, and you can just sit in the music. And I guess that's one of the things about a record or a double record of an artist that really does create an atmosphere and it's consistent throughout the record, is getting up and changing the record is a little disruptive, but no worries. So 9 Horses and David Sylvian. I've talked before about this particular series, the Late Night Tales. I just love it. So again, I probably have said this before, but the concept of Late Night Tales, and it's a series, they probably have about 20 records out, and I've got probably about 10 to 12 of them, is that this is music that is curated by an artist or a band. And the idea is that, as the title suggests, Late Night Tales, this is music that you would be listening to late at night. Like maybe you come home, been out in the clubs or out drinking, and you come home and you put this music on. Very atmospheric, leans a little more towards, generally, depending on who's curating it, a little more mellow, lots of instrumental stuff. And it's really cool because it's basically like this person has put together a mixtape for you. So this is John Hopkins. I don't know John Hopkins, but this is an excellent, again, it's like a mixtape. And Nils Fram, who I know, Alela Diane, I know, Fortet, Peter Broderick. There are a few that I know, Winged Victory for the Sullen that I really like, but many other artists that I'm not familiar with. And so one of the great things about these kinds of compilations is when they reveal some artist or track that is really spectacular, and then you use that as a springboard to go down a rabbit hole, as it were, and that's wonderful. One from my past collection, so I'll tell you how this all came about. Is I was listening to Dead Man's Pop, the re-release and remastered Matt Wallace mix of Don't Tell a Soul, The Replacements. And I love that Matt Wallace mix in that particular. I've got it behind me, but I won't bother pulling it out right now. But they cover one of the live concerts from that show. They cover Another Girl, Another Planet from the inimitable Only Ones. And so I've got a few Only Ones records, and this isn't the one that has Another Girl, Another Planet. And I've heard that song a million times. I love when the Replacements do it, but I don't necessarily need to hear the Only Ones do it again. But Peter Parrott and his band, The Only Ones. And this is a really good record. There's something about these guys, very sort of sloppy, but powerful. And I don't know, they weren't punk. They were, I guess, kind of new wave, but love these guys. Underappreciated, I think. And this one's called Baby's Got a Gun, and a track, if you wanted to kind of get a sense that this is something that you might be interested in, Why Don't You Kill Yourself? Track 2 off of this is a good way to start. What else? So I just recently noticed that, and it's hard to read from this, but this is Lady Blackbird. She is a real powerhouse singer, but sings in kind of a jazz, soul R&B. It kind of leans more towards jazz. She covers Bill Evans' Peace, and does vocals over top of it that I believe are her own, or somebody else wrote the vocals, called Fix It. And it was a great release called Black Acid Soul, I believe. Yeah, Black Acid Soul, single release. And I like that record so much. I think Mazzy was the first one to turn me on to it, that I noticed this at a reasonable price in my local store. So I got the double disc, some, I guess, outtakes and different things that did not make it on the initial release. And I'm just starting to really get into this. It feels like, often with deluxes, like it's a little inconsistent, a little up and down. But, you know, like a lot of things, if I've only listened to it a couple times, I'm not willing to declare that as an absolute. I think it requires some more listening for me to be able to weigh in on it. She has a new record out, Lady Blackbird does, and the lead-off track is, it's very powerful. I mean, it almost reminds me of Beyonce. It's got a real kick and a punch to it, more so than anything on Black Acid Soul. But I don't know, the rest of it I haven't really necessarily grooved to just yet. Probably the record that I've been playing the most recently, like just if I were to be tracking actual frequency of plays, would be an older Jessica Pratt record. This one's called On Your Own, Love Again. And, you know, if you know my, been watching my channel at all, I really love, I think it's called Here in the Pitch, the newest record of hers, and I did see her live on the tour. And I think she's just a really unique artist that I find really quite hypnotic. And there's, again, a certain je ne sais quoi about her simplistic, or it seems very simple and direct what she does, but there's some just fantastic hooks and some elements of, I don't know if it's Brazilian music or what, that are sort of subtly in there. I love it. Really love this cover too. I've said on my Instagram, really reminds me of an Edward Hopper painting. Beautiful. And so this was 3 records ago, I guess. You know, Here in the Pitch is the new one. The one before that was, I think it was called Aeroplane. And that was the first record in that I got into Jessica Pratt. But track off of this that I would suggest, if you want to get a sense of whether you like her music, would be Moon Dude. It's the last song on the first side. But if you're streaming, check out Moon Dude. Jessica Pratt, wonderful. Another sort of series of fairly quiet records. Well, there's the Jessica Pratt newer record, which is outstanding. Maybe one of my favorite, if not my favorite record this year. Well, now with the release of Gilmore and Nick Cave, I'm not so sure. They're probably higher up on that. A few other records that I've been listening to a lot. Again, if you've been watching the channel, Greg Fote is somebody that I love. Keyboard player, kind of part of the British jazz, ambient, soul. I think you'd kind of be the two slashes to those 3 categories that you might categorize him in. And this is his latest release, The Glass Frog. It's a very kitschy kind of cover, but I love this guy. He creates this great atmosphere. The Sea of Tranquility, the first song on this, really reminds me of Vangelis' soundtrack to Blade Runner. And the rest of the record's a little different than that, but it's a similar kind of mood and atmosphere. And highly recommend Greg Fote. If you enjoy that, the one album that I think probably I like best of his, and I've got about 7 or 8 of his now, is Dolphin. I think this is just a fabulous record. And so you can check that out, stream it, see if you like it. But Greg Fote, British guy, another one of his records that I really enjoy. I mean, talk about kitschy there too, right? I think this is called Off Piste, and I believe this is intended to be music for après-ski. It sounds corny, but it's really, really good. Another one that, again, is probably a seasonal thing. You know I'm a big Talk Talk fan, especially the latter 2 records. Spirit of Eden and Laughingstock is the Mark Hollis solo record. It's more of the same. It really isn't that different than those 2 records, which of course is a complete break from what Talk Talk were before with I guess the Color of Spring, I believe, was the bridge over to the more ambient and esoteric stuff that they did on their last two albums. But this is really nice. This is the last record, as I understand, that Mark Hollis did. And yeah, nothing special on the vinyl side of things, but nice record, very nice record. In the 90s, no, sorry, in early 2000s, there was a release of a record by Mark Lanigan called Bubblegum. And I bought that CD and I really enjoyed it. I'd been a Screaming Trees fan. For some reason, the Queens of the Stone Age, who he was a member of, it wasn't really that they didn't do it for me. It just somehow didn't really reach my consciousness. So I wasn't familiar with it, but I liked the Screaming Trees. And then I kind of lost track of him. And then I got on CD, I think it was released in 2004, I got this record, and that is Bubblegum, as I say, Mark Lanigan. This record reminds me a little bit of Iggy Pop's The Idiot. It's very sparse. It's got kind of a little bit of a claustrophobic sound to it, and a lot of tension, tension in the music, maybe more so than the Iggy Pop, which has got maybe more release. But it is really good. It's a very nice package. You can see it's not even spot varnish. This is actually sort of a reverse embossing, which is quite nice. Red vinyl. And, the players on here, so Josh Homme is on here. I don't know if it's Home or Homie, but yeah, Duff McKagan of Guns N' Roses plays on this. And the guy from Afghan Wigs is on this as well, on a few tracks. Paulie Harvey is on a song here, Hit the City, as well. There's Bubblegum. This has been released, I don't know if this is the first release on vinyl, but this is a 2-record and very nice, just like the cover. Red vinyl, which is great. So Mark Lanigan, Bubblegum. And I like the record so much, I didn't buy the company, but I got the CD version. It's a very simple digipack, but it includes the full record. Then there's a second record there. And that is, here comes that Weird Chill LP. So a whole nother record completely, not just outtakes. And then the third disc is unreleased songs and demos. So I haven't gone into those yet. This just arrived, but I'm really looking forward to that. Nice to be able to do a deep dive on a record that I really like. Very quickly, I was going through a bit of a Faces period, and I really love, and I also love Rough Mix with Pete Townsend and Ronnie Lane. And I love Ronnie Lane's songs almost the most, Debris and I can't remember the other ones, but this is BBC recordings, and it's done over 3 periods of time. So it's Ronnie Lane and the band Slim Chance. Some really nice stuff on here. I always enjoy the BBC recordings. Get some alternative live as well as performances in the studio. This was my intro, and then And then Nothing Turned Itself Inside Out. I'd heard of Yo La Tengo for years, and then in around 1990 something, because they've been around for years, I heard this on CD, and I was absolutely a fan, and a fan forever. And this is such a great record. Tears Are in Your Eyes, You Can Have It All. Night Falls on Hoboken. It's a whole side, 17 minutes. So Yo La Tengo, their covers are always so interesting. Kind of like the foreboding of suburbia. At least that's what I take it to be. So yeah, Yo La Tengo, I've been listening to that. They've been re-releasing some of Tom Verlaine's solo stuff, and I really wanted to get this one, Warm and Cool. So again, just solo stuff. Some of it's kind of jazzy, some of it's a little bit atonal, but Tom Verlaine as a guitarist was really one of a kind, the way he played, and I can't even put it into words, but I've always loved the stuff he did, both with television, but also on his solo records, and so all instrumentals. This is a really nice record. As far as jazz goes, one of the ones, this is Lost Mixtapes Todd had recommended. It is such a fantastic sounding record, Dexter Gordon, One Flight Up, and yeah, I've been playing this an awful lot. This is a beautiful I think it was a Tone Poet. Beautiful little package. It cracks when you open it. It's a really nice record. And one that I just picked up recently is this one that was just reissued, Dorothy Ashby, Afro Harping. The lead up track, Soul Vibrations, when I heard that, I just thought I have to have this record. I didn't even bother listening to the rest of it because the sound, I think this is one of the more sampled songs in terms of the drums at the beginning of this tune. It's really outstanding, but the whole record is great. It's kind of loungy, the rest of the record. Some of it is a bit sort of easy listening, but the playing is fantastic. The interplay of the musicians, where you get some of the stuff that seems a bit kitschy, but then you realize, wow, this is really well played. I put Gabor Szabo in that camp as well. And so this is a double record. So they re-released the first record, and then the second record are alternate takes and things that didn't appear on the album. So Dorothy Ashby. I had this record of hers before that I enjoyed. Just it was a blind buy really, but I was in the store and somebody was saying, "Oh, you gotta get that. She's really great." And this is an excellent release here, an earlier release. I think this was back in 1958, whereas the Afro Harping I think is 68, 69, somewhere around there. And I pulled this out. This is, I think, a record that doesn't seem to get the attention that it deserves, as far as I see. This is produced by Brian Eno, and this is such a great record. It really is. Right from the beginning, Out to Get You, but sometimes, which I think that song has got Eno on backup vocals. It reminds me a lot of the stuff that he does with John Cale on Wrong Side Up. And with David Byrne on some of their releases. But he's got such a unique backup vocal. Anyways, 5-0, there's a whole bunch of stuff on here that's great. And I'm just kind of going through a reappreciation of this record. And that's it for now. Carpe diem, motherfuckers.